What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to my channel, and we're doing, again, another one of these. 5 of these are coming out for you guys today. We're moving on to the Mountain West Conference, and it's a conference that, well, if you watched my college football playoff predictions earlier on this week, you'll know houses my Group of 5 champion, and I'll talk about why in just a little bit. But again, before we dive on into the Mountain West, I am congested, so I apologize for the way that I sound, but thank you for your support of the channel and continue to help support it in any way you can. Watching this video is just a huge way, and if you're as big of a college football nerd as I am, you got to hit the subscribe button, you got to ring the bell, because you want to hear everything I'm going to have to say during the college football season, and do other ways as well. Like, comment, share, anything else you do to interact with the channel helps us support it, and go follow me on Twitter, X, whatever it is you want to call it, and whatever people are calling it now, at TailgateNate29. Be posting not only stuff about YouTube, but about my journey as an aspiring sports media professional and all the field work I do. If you're interested in that, please go check me out. I would really appreciate it. But with all that out of the way, we'll go ahead and just do another one of these, diving into the Mountain West Conference. And again, the Mountain West is going to be a conference this year that I think is going to end up being a pretty solid, pretty competitive conference. Now, there is a little bit of an oddity with the Mountain West this year, and you'll notice that much like every other conference that plays 8 or 9 conference games, the Mountain West is only playing 7 conference games, and that is because each Mountain West team is going to play one or both, but at least one of either Oregon State or Washington State. It's just kind of a deal as Oregon State, Washington State are left kind of in that Pac-2, just searching for that home. Maybe they can get the Pac-12 back up and whatever's going to happen with that. But that's why there's only 7 conference games as the Oregon State, Washington State games, no matter who plays who, is going to be counted as a non-conference game. So that's why you only see 7 conference games here. I only got one team going undefeated in conference, and that's the Boise State Broncos. I got them winning the Mountain West. I'll talk about a little bit why later throughout this video. I also got them making the college football playoff, which I'll also explain later. Quite simply, I think Boise State's the most talented Group of 5 team this season. They did just name Maddox Madsen their starting quarterback over a guy that I would have liked to see get the start in Malachi Nelson, former 5-star that is coming over from USC, but they have one of the best running backs in the country in Ashton Jeanty coming back, a plethora of really good talent in the wide receiver room, including a couple transfers like Chris Marshall and Cam Camper that are going to be transferring into this program. The defense is loaded, got a ton of experience on that defensive front. The secondary is loaded with seniors and a lot of good returners from last year, and it's been sort of a weird story with Boise State. They've had these big expectations and then just not performed, or they've struggled in the early going, had to fire a coach, and then they really get going. This year, though, under Spencer Danielson, again, congestion, I apologize, this is the year for Boise State to really explode, to do some big things. I think they're good enough to make the college football playoff. If 11-1 and 7-0, I mean, their only loss is going to be to Oregon, a team that definitely should make the college football playoff. That is definitely worthy of breaking into the CFP. Boise State is my top team. I definitely have them making the conference championship game. But up next here, UNLV and Fresno State. I have both going 6-1 in conference, and due to a tiebreaker, UNLV beating Fresno State in the regular season, well, the Rebels are going to get their shot to avenge their loss to Boise State from last year's Mountain West Conference championship game in a rematch. So we'll talk about the UNLV Rebels here in just a little bit, but I do want to touch on the Fresno State Bulldogs first, because Jeff Tedford has stepped down from his head coaching role due to health concerns and health reasons. But, I mean, when you still look at Fresno State, my record prediction for them, even though Jeff Tedford is no longer that head coach, while it definitely would help their case, is not the end of the world to me, because I think this team is really talented. Mikey Keene is back. Malik Sherrod is back in the running back room. A lot of really good wide receiver pieces. The defense is going to be loaded with talent as well. Now, again, I'm not going to act like Jeff Tedford is nothing, because he's a really, really good head coach and has had great success with Fresno State in the past. Obviously, him not coaching this team this year is going to be a big deal to them, but I still think this team is really talented. I still think they're going to be one of the best in the Mountain West Conference, but again, losing to UNLV in the regular season will put them on the outside looking into a conference championship game, and I know UNLV did lose a lot from last year. Jaden Maeva is gone. They lose some other really important pieces, especially defensively, but you do get Matthew Sluka coming in to play quarterback. He's a transfer from Holy Cross that was really good for the Crusaders last year. I think he's going to fit in very well to this offensive system. Jaden Thomas is back at running back, and Ricky White. That is the big name that is coming back offensively for UNLV, an electric wide receiver who Matthew Sluka is going to be throwing to this season instead of Jaden Maeva, and I think that connection is going to work wonders, and it's going to be really, really good for the Rebels offense this season. Defensively, you got some important transfers, especially in that and that defensive back seven, and then the secondary that are going to see some pretty significant playing time. So UNLV, again, due to that tiebreaker, they're right there with Fresno State in my eyes to get that other spot in the conference championship game. And due to the regular season matchup, I got UNLV making it. Fresno State absolutely could. Again, losing Jeff Tedford is definitely going to be a little bit of a blow to them. But there are some other teams that, look, if you want a team sort of on the outside or maybe that has an outside chance to get into a conference championship game, I would look no further than these two teams right here. Colorado State and Wyoming, I think are both going to be very good sides this year. And we'll start with Jay Norvell's Colorado State Rams. I believe that I have them beating Wyoming in the regular season if they play. If they don't play, it's, again, due to overall record. I forget how that tiebreaker is working out. Not remembering in my head, but Colorado State gets a lot of really good weapons back. Braden Fowler Nicolosi is going to be coming back at quarterback. Really good weapon there. Torrey Horton might be the best wide receiver in conference. It's between him and Ricky White. Absolutely. So you get him back. Very, very good player. Defensively, loaded with experience. You're going to have a couple younger guys start up there as well, but a couple really important transfers come into that secondary to help give them a boost. Colorado State went 3-9 in Norvell's first year. They went 5-7 last year. What about another 2-win jump? I think it's absolutely possible. Fowler Nicolosi, I think, is going to be a really good player for him. Another 2-win jump for Colorado State and a chance, potentially, if everything goes well, to get into the conference championship game. Wyoming is another team that I absolutely could see doing it. And look, Craig Bohl was an amazing coach. Again, much like the Jeff Tedford situation, Craig Bohl didn't necessarily step down due to health concerns. Maybe that was part of it, but just up and retired, and probably not a huge surprise. So Jay Sawvell's going to be taking over this program this year. They lost quite a bit of solid production offensively, but Evan Sabota is going to be taking over the quarterback position again, much like Andrew Peasley last year. Doesn't need to be a hero, but just needs to sort of be able to move this offense because the defense is going to be loaded again this year. And Wyoming's going to have one of, if not the best defenses in conference this season. Out of conference, I think is going to hurt their overall record a little bit, but in conference, they should fare very nicely. That defense is going to be outstanding for the Cowboys this year, and it's why I have them as high on my standings board as I do. Now let's talk about Air Force, one of the more interesting teams in conference because they only returned 5 starters from last year. Zach Larry are gone. John Lee Eldridge gone on the defensive end. Not Brad Roberts. Who am I thinking of? Bo Richter. That's it. Linebacker Bo Richter gone, and a ton of other really important pieces last year. But Troy Calhoun knows how to get the best of his guys. They have a little bit more of a passing quarterback than they've normally had, and maybe you see the air attack work a little differently for Air Force this year. Again, mainly known as a running team, but Troy Calhoun gets the best out of his players. He's an exceptional head coach. Air Force is still going to be well in contention for the Mountain West this year. I think a little bit farther back than where they have been in recent years, but I still like Air Force. I love Troy Calhoun, and I think they're going to get some really good wins this season, play some really good ball. And Air Force is above 500 in Mountain West play, 8-4 on the season. We dive on into the second half of the schedule. Again, due to tiebreakers, San Diego State is going to sit lower than Utah State, but I think the Aztecs are going to be a ton better than the team last season. Well, you do have Brady Hoke, who is now leaving as that head coach. I believe he even has retired as well. So a lot of retirement, stepping down, things happening in the Mountain West. But Sean Lewis is coming in, and those of you that have been on the channel for a long time, I'm a big fan of his. I love Sean Lewis. He was a great offensive coordinator for Colorado, was able to build up Kent State, who historically is not a very good program. He was able to build them up. You have some really talented players coming in here. They probably are going to have a freshman starting for him at quarterback. Danny O'Neill, it looks like he's going to get that starting job. If not, though, you did bring in A.J. Duffy as a transfer. I think there are going to be some really good minutes there from the quarterback room. You bring in a ton of transfers literally everywhere else. Keenan Kristen is back to be the running back. But you do have Marquez Cooper, who, again, played under Sean Lewis at Kent State. So he's been in that system. A lot of wide receiver transfers, ton of really good defensive transfers, as well as some good returning defensive talent. 4-8 last year. Expect a big jump from the Aztecs this season. 7-5 is where I got them. But Utah State is sitting here at 4-8, 3-4. Of course, everything happening with Blake Anderson, and we could really dive into that. Not the time or place here, at least in this video, to dive into all those things and all the Title IX and, again, what have you. I think it's going to be a struggle for Utah State. Again, losing Blake Anderson, losing a lot of really important pieces from last season, not only offensively and defensively. While I think they fared decently in conference, 3-4, again, they get a win over San Diego State, which puts them 7th in the standings instead of 8th, maybe even 9th, because you might be sitting behind Hawaii there if you don't beat the San Diego State Aztecs. I just think it's going to be a struggle for the Aggies this season. 4-8 is where I got them this year. Hawaii, I was this close to getting them to a bowl game, but just a couple things in the non-conference, and a couple things even, or actually not even non-conference, a couple things in conference, couple games that I think they'll be close and but not pull out the win. Hawaii's a team that, again, though, still can make a bowl game this year. I think the Rainbow Warriors are going to be really talented, and they do return some really important talent, most notably in that passing game. Braden Shager is back. The pass game working well for him. It worked well for him in that week 1 game against Delaware State. No real troubles for him there. So, again, I'm off to a great start in predicting Hawaii's record so far, but just shy of that bowl game mark. I think the defense is a couple things they need to improve upon, albeit a lot of good talent. I just think they see struggles in some games that they necessarily shouldn't and miss out on a bowl game. But these 3 teams down here, I just don't have it being super successful seasons for them. San Jose State, I don't think it's going to be a great year for the Spartans. They lost a ton of talent due to the transfer portal last year. Their head coach, Brent Brennan, who I really, really liked, is going over to the Arizona Wildcats, and I think he's going to be a great head coach for them. Arizona's got a really good team. San Jose State loses a lot. I mean, they got some solid pieces there, but overall, I don't think it's going to work out too well for the Spartans this year. And 2 teams that I only have winning 1 game this year. You could argue they're 2 of the worst teams in the nation, but they both showed some really good things in their week 1 game. Again, this is before or in their week 0 game, I guess I should say, their opening week game, whatever you want to call it. But I was pretty impressed with both of them. New Mexico's ability defensively to maybe not necessarily to force those turnovers actually, and then to turn them into points. The offense had some good things going, and Devin Dampier looks like he's going to be a really good player. But overall, in Bronco Mendenhall's first year, I mean, New Mexico couldn't close it out. They had a lot of missed opportunities, and that very well could be a theme for the Lobos this year. So 1-11 is where I got them, and Nevada is the only team in the country that plays 13 games. So no, that's not a typo. I do have Nevada going 1-12 this season. Again, I just think a program, again, that's trying to rebuild. They have a head coach in Jeff Choate that is going to make this team a very coached team, or a very well-coached team. My apologies. I just don't think it's going to work out too well for the Wolfpack this year, which is why I have them sitting towards the bottom of the conference. So to go back towards the top of this conference, right? Boise State, I think, is bona fide, without a shadow of a doubt, not only the best team in this conference, I think they're the best team in the group of 5 realm as well. It's why they're my favorite to get to the college football playoff. It's why I have them getting to the college football playoff. It's why they're my Mountain West favorite. I mean, Ash and Genty, no matter who's playing quarterback, they have a ton of weapons on the outside, ton of really good talent defensively. Boise State's my winner of the conference. You can argue between UNLV, Fresno, Colorado State, Wyoming for kind of that last spot there. I think it's going to end up going to UNLV and Fresno State. I got a rematch of last year's conference championship game, but a similar result. Boise State wins, and I got the Broncos rolling all the way to the college football playoff. Let me know what you guys think about the Mountain West in the comment section down below. Remember to play hard but tailgate harder. In my next video, we'll talk about the Mid-American Conference. Can we see some surprises out of there? Well, you have to wait and find out. See you in the next one. Goodbye.